You're watching Business Today television. I'm Sakshi Batra, and this is our special edition where we focus on everything you need to know about EPFO and EPFO 3.0. India's retirement savings system is on the verge of its biggest ever digital overhaul yet. Imagine this: no forms, no employer approvals, no waiting for about 10 days or even more. Just scan a QR code, authenticate it via UPI, withdraw your EPF money instantly. That's exactly what EPFO 3.0 promises. The Employees Provident Fund Organization is preparing to roll out a fully paperless system that could fundamentally change how over 7 crore subscribers access their retirement savings. And under the proposed system, this EPFO and all the members within it may soon be able to transfer your PF money directly into your UPI linked bank accounts using UPI apps and even withdraw funds through UPI enabled ATMs without any employer intervention. Remember, there's also a fact that we're going to be discussing about how the auto settlement limit has already been increased from 1 lakh rupees to 5 lakh rupees, potentially allowing faster access to your own funds for medical emergencies, for education, for marriage, for home purchase, and many other conditions as well. But while the move is being hailed as a massive leap in convenience and financial accessibility, it is also sparking some important questions like, will easier withdrawals anytime weaken the long term retirement discipline? Then, can people accidentally compromise their own pension benefits under EPS? How secure will QR based withdrawals really be? And also, with crores of workers depending on EPFO's 28 lakh crore rupees corpus, can the system handle such massive digital transformation and that too safely? Those are the questions that we will also be focusing on in today's conversation. We have with us to decode all of this our special guest who's joining in. We have Ketan Das, business head at FinRight Technologies, joining in on the program with us. Ketan, welcome to you. Thank you so much for taking the time out. This, of course, is a topic that goes across so many people to try and decode what truly is happening. And now we are talking about the massive digital overhaul of this traditional retirement benefit of EPFO 3.0 being described as game changing. Do help us and our viewers understand how significant is this shift going to be compared to how EPF traditional withdrawals process used to be?
Thanks, Sakshi, for having me on the show. And you're right that this is a major change that is happening in EPFO. And the EPFO 3.0 system has been coming for about a year now, where slow and steadily they have been rolling out new changes. It started last year when they started saying that your EPF transfers will no longer require employer's approval. Earlier, when you initiate a transfer, your employer was supposed to be in the picture. They have to approve it, right? That's how it started. And now they're saying that 94% of your transfers will no longer require any sort of employer approval. Then they moved on to talk about your increasing your withdrawal limits. So earlier the auto approval limit was for 1 lakh, which has then been increased to 5 lakhs. And very recently we've started seeing that this has also been implemented across various PF offices on the ground, and we are seeing claims being settled within 2 to 3 working days.
Wow.
Right, that's a major relief for people. And apart from this, very recently they had announced the new withdrawal rules,
Yes,
wherein
through
they
UPIs and through ATMs. That became the biggest headline. People were like, okay, finally, I don't have to stand in queues. I don't have to like wait for days for withdrawing my own PF money just via UPI, which every one of us has got so used to. And ATMs is as accessible to tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns as well, almost to the remotest locations. So people even there will be able to probably withdraw their money very easily.
That's correct. See, earlier people had to go to the EPFO website, then log in with their UN numbers. If they don't
Yep.
have the UN number, if they don't have the password, half of them would not have been able to access the website and then get inside and apply the claim. So this
Mm.
solves the massive problem of accessibility of your withdrawal funds, right? And having it very conveniently within an UPI app, which everyone has been used to now and has a massive distribution, will definitely benefit the people who are trying to access. However, it comes to mind that UPIs comes with a specific limit on how much money you can withdraw using UPI.
Yes.
So that is something that is to be seen on how exactly will that play out, how much time, when it will get implemented, and what will be the final amount that you'll get in your accounts. That is something that we'll see once it gets rolled out.
Yeah, that exactly is what my next question is. How ready is EPFO for this nationwide rollout of 3.0? How feasible will it be digitally? We have seen how, UPI has become such a big success, and we do see how digital payments is something that the world looks at India for. Will it be possible to implement a successful digital rollout of what is being seen right now and what is being aimed for? And by when, do we see that happening?
Right. So this is, to be honest, a little bit of a mixed bag because last year EPFO 3.0 was supposed to come. ATM withdrawals should have happened in the last year, but finally we are seeing that some of it being tested this year. Recently, Mansukh Mandavia, the Labor Minister, announced that they have done some trials and they have been able to succeed on this. But again, this year in April, we are supposed to get the new withdrawal rules, and we got to know that some of the withdrawal rules got implemented on the back end side of it, but they were not able to roll it out to the members yet. And till date, all the old rules of the withdrawals are still active. And EPFO tends to does, when it comes to technology, the budget that they allocate to, if you compare the budget that IT spends on, the income tax department spends on their IT budget, right? That's massive compared to what EPFO spends on their infrastructure, right? So because of which we know that legacy systems, they take time to roll out, and that's being, piloted across various PF offices, and we are yet to see some concrete timelines to, for when this will get rolled out. I'm still expecting that the new withdrawal rules, which we can talk about later on, will definitely help people, and it should definitely come out faster so that more people are able to access a larger sum of their retirement savings.
Absolutely. So this auto settlement limit has been raised from 1 lakh to 5 lakh you talked about. So what impact will this have on claim processing and subscriber convenience?
So, see, earlier, like I said, you had to go through the entire process. You had
Hmm.
to select like
Hmm.
which form, which reason, how much can I technically withdraw from that reason. All of
Yeah.
those barriers were there. Very recently, with the new rules, I'm expecting that this barrier goes away. And all you have to do is just go and apply your claim, and then you get your money in your bank account within 3 days. Earlier, this timeline used to be about 25 working days, so about a month, right? You raise a claim, there's no clarity on when you will get the funds. But this within 3 days, raising the limit to 5 lakhs, and it has already been implemented. So that's the great thing about this new.
Hmm. Okay,
Yeah.
there's also a lot of confusion that people had along with the kind of news flows that kept coming. The rule still requires 25% of the PF corpus to remain in the account. So why is there this mandatory retention? What does it mean when you have already talked about that, about 100% of the PF balance can be withdrawn? It has been raised from 50 to 75% of the balance. So many numbers are coming in, but there is very less clarity as to how much can I finally withdraw.
Right. You're right when you say that when you said 100% of the eligible balance, people mistook it that they can withdraw the entire PF balance in one
Hmm.
go. So
Hmm.
essentially, in the new withdrawal rules, what they've done is they've categorized 13 different reasons earlier into three different categories, which is essential category, housing category, and special needs category. Now they've also raised the number of times that you can access. For example, in marriage, you can access it 5 times now. And for education, you can access the reason 10 times. Earlier, it was a combined limit of three, but from now it will be 15 combined. Right? That's a
Hmm.
good thing. And also they decrease the eligibility criteria. For example, earlier for education or marriage, you needed to have 7 years of continuous service. Now that has been decreased to just 12 months. So the 12 months limit across the board for all withdrawals is also a great move. But like you rightly pointed out, 25% of your PF balance must remain. So technically, every rupee that you put into Provident Fund, 25% of it will be kept in a separate account and 75% of it will be kept in a separate account. With that, what happens is whenever you try to withdraw, that 75% balance which is sitting in a standalone account will be withdrawn. The
Mm.
25%, they are trying to lock it in for retirement. Because if you look at the numbers, there's a lot of the frequency of withdrawals has gone up,
Yeah.
especially in the lower category or the lower limit, like where people are withdrawing. A lot of them are withdrawing less than 1 lakh PF amount. And they also said that there's an interesting stat where they said 87% of the full and final withdrawals are less than 1 lakh, which is also a concerning number, right? Only 13% of all EPFO subscribers have a balance of more than 1 lakh when they are trying to retire. So basically,
Mm.
you can see that the frequency of withdrawals has increased, and as a result of which they have introduced two things. One was the 25% lock-in, and the second thing that they have done is you cannot withdraw your full and final withdrawal unless you have 12 months of waiting period. So earlier this used to be 2 months. If I leave a job after 2 months, I can access the entire fund. Now they have moved that timeline to 12 months for your PF. And you also mentioned EPS earlier on, which tends to create a lot of trouble for employees. For EPS, they have increased the limit of withdrawing the EPS to 36 months, that is 3 years. So, with
Mm.
these two interventions, what they are trying to ensure is there is at least some balance remaining inside your account, and you're not able to access the 100% amount. And eventually, I'm expecting with this move that a lot of more people will have a decent balance when we are trying to retire.
Mm, absolutely. There is this then concern that easier withdrawals may encourage people to dip more into their retirement savings, and that too quite frequently. So, is that a genuine risk that you're looking as an expert?
Yes, this is what we've also seen this behavior across different, especially in the blue collar segment where people they
Mm.
tend to access whatever funds they have left in their account. I've seen people doing 50 withdrawals just under the illness category, right? Every month you will be able to do it. So people just wait for that 30-day period to cool down, and then they immediately apply for that fund. So now with the introduction of special category where there is no specific reason that you have to provide, people could be withdrawing their funds, left and right. And earlier, see, people could only access the employee portion of it, which was 50% of the balance. They could not
Mm.
access the employer share of it. But in the
Mm.
recent rules, they've said that you can access 100% of the eligible balance, which is including your employee plus employer share. So
Correct.
if both the employee and employer share is accessible, people will then have more frequent withdrawals. And also there is a risk of, when they reduce the limit from eligibility limit from 5 years to 1 year, what they also bring in is, see, EPF is a tax saving retirement product, right? But the
Mm.
tax saving kicks in if you have invested for more than 5 years. But if you reduce the eligibility from 5 years to let's say one year, then what happens to that funds that you're trying to access? Does that become taxable? Because that is something that is still not clear in the new rules. So we'll have to wait for clarity, because EPFO says one thing, but the income tax laws still make EPFO retirement product and tax free product if you invest for more than 5 years. So that also might come into picture for people who have a decent sum that is going into EPF every month.
Absolutely. And now, with the new labor law changes and with the basic pay rules that have come in, we're already seeing that the contribution has gone up for PF for a lot of employees there with their new salary structure in place. So, what are you observing there? Will all those people now have the risk of further, giving out more to PF, and therefore, with the taxable income increase going forward? What exactly are you making people understand here?
So you're right. Under the new labor laws, what they have provisioned is 50% of your salary will become now the basic salary, right? Whatever salary you're getting, 50% has to be basic, and then you're contributing 12% of that basic salary into PF. As a
Hmm.
result, your contributions have gone up and your in-hand salary has gone down. This has happened to a lot of people. Now, there
Yeah.
are a couple of considerations that you should look out for. First is you have to calculate what is your total yearly contribution under the new rules, under the new
Okay.
labor laws, right?
Okay.
And if it exceeds 2.5 lakhs, then
Okay.
there is a little bit of a trouble, because if you exceed 2.5 lakhs, whatever you contribute, right? For example, let's say you're contributing 5 lakhs into PF in a year,
Hmm.
then that 2.5 lakhs extra that you've contributed, whatever interest you get on it will become taxable, right? So that
Ah,
is something that people have to keep in mind. Like with the new labor code revision, am I exceeding that 2.5 lakhs limit as an employee, whatever contribution I'm making into PF? That is
hmm,
something that people should consider. And the second thing that people are not aware of is technically you can contribute as per the minimum requirement into EPFO. So EPFO requires you to contribute at a minimum of at the wage of 15,000, and the minimum contribution 12% of that 15,000 comes out to be 1,800 per month. So as an
hmm,
employee, as long as you are contributing 1,800 per month, EPFO systems allow that, right? A
hmm.
lot of different people come and ask that, can I just opt for the minimum contribution? I don't want to get into a system where, my PF withdrawals get rejected and all of it. And that's why people say that I'll contribute to bare minimum and I'll
Ah,
keep the rest of my funds. And people also have different needs, right? People want more
yeah,
in hand salary. Who doesn't want a higher in hand salary, right?
why not? Yeah.
So
Ah.
if you're someone who cares for the cash flow and the liquidity, definitely you can ask your HR and negotiate that your salary be restructured and you get a higher in hand by contributing just 1,800 per month. So that is still an option.
That's still an option. That's something that a lot of viewers will definitely want to look for at this point in time. Ketan has clearly suggested, in case you have seen, because of the new labor law changes, because of those salary structures getting changed for you as well, in case your contribution yearly, your annual contribution for PF, this is only for the employee that you're talking about.
Yes, for the employee, because for the employer, there's a different limit of 7.5 lakhs, which includes
Ah.
both the EPF and the NPS, all superannuation contribution. They should not exceed 7.5 lakhs. So
Hmm.
that's a separate issue. The employee contribution has to be less than 2.5 lakhs for tax-free interest.
In case you are looking for tax-free interest on your EPFs, your annual contribution to EPF has to be less than 2.5 lakhs. There is a possibility, if you negotiate with your own HRs and bring it down, look at the minimum category that you can still be eligible to apply for in EPF, then please go ahead and do that. That's what Ketan suggests. That will help you, one, increase your in-hand pay, two, reduce your taxable interest component as well. So keep that in mind. This is very, very important, and I'm sure a lot of people have been looking for ways as to how to really maneuver this entire new tax structure at this point in time. That truly helps, Ketan. Thanks for giving our viewers that clarity. Now, one more clarity a lot of people have is they always find confusion between what is EPF and EPS. Can you help just break that down, and what is the maximum people's EPF and EPS confusion here? You must be coming across
Sure.
so many clients that must bring out this confusion for you.
Sure. Yes. So see, EPS is a employee pension scheme. It's a separate scheme from the Provident Fund. You earn interest on your Provident Fund, and the pension is just a retirement product where you get a fixed monthly amount when you retire at the age of 58. Right? I'll talk about how the contributions are, what the eligibility is, and what you should keep in mind. So back in 1st September 2014, when the concept of UAN was introduced, they also introduced this new revised EPS scheme. So one thing
Mm.
that you have to understand is if you joined before 1st September 2014,
Yeah.
like 99% of the people would be a part of the pension scheme. Okay, but if you've joined to the formal employment very first time, you're getting a salary and contributing to EPF, and that has happened after 1st September 2014. What you have
Okay.
to check is whether your basic salary, what was declared to EPFO, was that above 15,000 per month. Right?
Okay.
If the basic salary was above 15,000 per month, you will not be a part of the pension scheme. The pension scheme specifically was designed for people who have a lesser salary.
Hmm.
So people need to check their first 3 months contribution and check their wages. This has to be checked for the first organization that they have joined for, right? And
Hmm.
that's where your eligibility gets determined. Once you
Hmm.
are eligible, you will continue to contribute to pension scheme irrespective of whether your salary has gone up above 15,000. You will still have to contribute. And anyone who's before 2014 has been contributing to PF, they will continue to be a part of the pension scheme and contribute to that pension scheme.
Hmm.
This is the
Okay.
eligibility and the continuity criteria of EPS. So the contribution part of it, the 12% contribution that you are giving from your salary goes into your employee share into the Provident Fund, and you will continue to earn interest on it. Whatever the employer provides as a PF contribution, it gets divided into two parts. Part of it goes into EPS and the remaining part of it goes into Provident Fund. At the
Okay.
EPS, there is a maximum capping of 1250 per month. Every month, maximum of 1250 will be deposited into the pension scheme, and the remaining amount will be deposited into Provident Fund, and you will continue to earn interest on your Provident Fund.
Hmm. Okay, got that. So this I'm sure a lot of people would have got some clarity about as well. Of course, like here we've heard our expert talk about how before 2014 and after 2014, that's where you need to see, where exactly you were contributing and what is the difference between EPS, what's the difference between the interest that you earn there. All of that has been made clear over here. So I hope this helps you out. We can also do a separate show on EPS and EPF to further detail on this later as a second part, since a lot of you may have some questions. But we are also going to be addressing one more interesting aspect here. A lot of people look forward to this interest of 8.25% that EPF offers, that remains attractive and tax efficient. At least look at that factor that we've highlighted before. But I still want to understand from you, would you still say that in this current environment, EPF is still one of the longest, safest long term retirement products for salaried employees, looking at the interest that we get?
Yes, definitely. See, 8.25% interest tax free is a great, I consider, I tell people that you are investing in your equities. It's a separate segment, but you also should have a balanced debt portfolio. And EPF is probably one of the best debt funds that you can have. So consider this as part of your debt portfolio. You're getting 8.25% tax free income. That's great. And in the short term, right, EPF does beat, equities because you're not able to for a 5 year period, if you need higher compounding than EPFO to at least make a difference there. And the interest, a lot of people have queries about, the interest credit gets credited late and is it still safe
Yeah.
and all of it. So I want to clarify that, even though the interest has been credited a little later on, but your interest is still safe. What you have to keep in mind is you have to make sure you are merging all your PF accounts into the last account. This is very critical because people switch jobs but always forget to transfer their provident fund from the previous account. And as a result of which, when they retire, it gets complicated about,
But
transferring it,
Dick,
getting the interest.
isn't it automated now? When people
Right.
switch over jobs, I was under the understanding now it automatically comes to your new
Right.
new job accounts as well.
So it's true, but it only transfers the previous account. So, for example, if you switch a job now, it will transfer your previous one. But if you've worked in different organizations in the past, it is not going to get automatically transferred. You will have to initiate a transfer manually. The second thing that you have to keep in mind is this is a request. They are raising a request automatically. It doesn't necessarily mean that the request will get approved and the money will move. You still need to track whether the request is accepted or not. The request get accepted or rejected based on various different other factors. We discuss EPS being a part of it. There are
Yeah.
other contribution related stuff that could, hamper your transfer. So even if it gets auto initiated online, you still need to track it whether it has been actually settled and the money has been credited into the newer
Very
account. Because I've seen cases where people's money has been transferred from the old account but hasn't yet been credited into the new account, and then that creates a lot of anxiety in people, whether my money
mm,
is actually credited and it's safe. So do definitely track your transfer. It's very critical.
very important. Okay, also on the fact that you were talking about how people are coming to you and saying that the interest has been credited late or has not still been credited annually on March 31st is when we usually expect the interest of the financial year to get credited to the accounts. And even I have come across various cases where people are talking about how their interest is not, yet credited to their accounts. What should they do right now?
So what we have to do is all of us have to just wait for June, July to come in, because every year uh, the interest gets credited. It's a separate process where, the ground reality is that it's still a manual process where the entire PF office, they'll shut off operations, where they will shut off claims, transfers, approvals, all of it will get shut, and all they will do is just close the accounts of the previous financial year and credit the interest. So it's a month long process, and it happens company wise and PF office wise. So when this process goes on, just a friendly tip that your claims and transfers might get delayed. If it is not an auto approval, there might be a slight delay because EPFO will be in the process of crediting the interest. So before to last year, what used to happen is the interest would have been credited somewhere between September, October. But last year they improved the system and it was done in June and July. So I would recommend everyone to wait for June and July and see that your interest has been credited.
Okay, well, we'll have to probably wait till June and July to see whether the interest has been credited. But this has been a fantastic conversation, Kitan. I want to thank you for bringing a lot of clarity to our viewers when it comes to EPFO. And we promise to get you back of course, clear more doubts for our viewers on EPF. As we continue to do this as a series now, we will do many part series on EPF. And Kitan, we hope that you'll be here to dispel all the kind of confusions that a lot of people still have with regards to EPFO. And we are keeping our fingers crossed to see a much easier, tech savvy, more digital friendly, EPF process developing and coming to us very, very soon. Thank you so much, Ketan. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Sakshi. Yes.
All right, viewers, we'll wrap it up on that note on this special edition. If after watching this you still have a lot of doubts about your EPFO investments, please do send us all those questions on the comment section below. We will try and address those questions in our next conversation with Ketan to try and decode for you what exactly you should know about your own EPF investments as well. Thank you so much for being with us on this special.